Okay, thank you. With that, I'd like to call to order this meeting of the town board of the town of Northeast. Today's Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. It's 5:30 PM, and I'd like to ask you to join me in pledge of allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Eileen, could you conduct a roll call
Yes, Supervisor Cannon,
here?
Councilman Mayville,
Here.
Councilwoman Morrison.
Here.
Councilwoman Winkler.
Here.
Councilwoman Cole.
Here.
Okay, you've seen the agenda. It's a pretty simple agenda. It's been distributed, it was posted. I would like to ask for a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved. Second. Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Got a bunch of comments. First of all, I just want to take note of, two recent passings in our town. One is Sam Bussell, who, for those of us who knew him and worked with him, was a constant presence at town board meetings. And his focus was very much on housing, but Sam was one of the founders of the community center, NECC, and was passionately interested in housing issues and seeing that the town did more. And he prodded me. He was very much part of starting the Tri-Town Coalition, and which I worked with, Meg worked with. Anyway, I'm very sorry to hear of his passing. And I'm also very aware of the recent passing of a 2-year-old. And we've heard about it, we've read about it in the paper. I went to the service for the child. And I know a lot of people in the town it's made them very, very sad. And I think to see a 2-year-old's life and so quickly, yes, very sad. So those have just been very much on my mind. I have some other things I wanted to mention. One is that in the posting for highway super, we did not actually put a deadline for applications to be received. We've actually amended it, and the deadline is this coming Friday. We have had a number of quite a few applications. So the personnel committee will start working on that, and I will keep you all posted of how we go along with that.
Indeed work.
Work. We're going to meet with when Lorna comes back. We're going to have a meeting with our health insurance provider. And I just know that we've gotten word that health insurance is going up next year. This is an early look at what it will be, but it is important as we go into budget season to know that the rates for all of the providers, the different ones that we have, are all look substantially higher, as in above 10%. So that is just wanted to let you know that. I think I wrote you all that we actually got the formal certification of our being recertified as a pro-housing community, which is very good and came in writing. The county has notified us that they will be redoing the sidewalk on North Maple, which is the street right here that we're on, from the traffic light up to Highland. And that is going to start happening, I think, any day. It was supposed to begin, beginning of August. we're there. They did finish the one up at Red Pond Road, at K Road. All of that work over the course of 2 years has been completed. It looks very, very nice. And they've put in culverts and bridges there, so I think that is something that is good. I'm continuing to work with supervisors of other towns on solutions to our EMS challenges. And I've mentioned that to you before. I've had a meeting with them this morning. I've got another meeting on Friday. There's a lot going on that, and we're hoping that we will get somewhere. But I do have information from Empress on their activity for our ambulance the month of July, and I've got that, and I can share that with the board. Happy to do
Did
that.
they give it to you? Any trips that they would make to Pine Plains, was that on
No.
the same report?
No, it's just how many pickups how many, calls they got, how many people
Uh-oh.
got picked up. They don't tell you where it's going.
They don't,
Well, they tell you what hospital it's going to. So the
not-
destination, but the actual address of the pickup. But since we wrote a letter to the county, I was told by the fire commissioners that there have been no dispatches out of Northeast since then, so.
That report you did give us, that was quarterly, I believe that was a quarterly, you could filter it,
Yes,
and it did show, like. I guessed what our code was for Northeast.
yes, well,
For fire
yes,
department, I mean, excuse me, of our EMS. For them, for that space, and it shows the Pine Plains, like 4 or 5 of them, and yeah.
So just to jump on that, so I know we had talked and we had said we're not able to bill the municipality, but. We have a contract with Empress, and the times when they're not providing that service, that should be prorated back to the taxpayers, I think.
we can ask them if they can do that. I'm happy to ask if they can do that. If they're no longer going out of the town, though,
Right.
it's moot.
But we've talked about this for a couple of years and it quiets and then we hear about it again,
Yeah.
so, I mean, I think if. We had a little bit of recourse to maybe stop that or get compensated when they do, then it would be a little bit easier to swallow the astronomical contract price that we pay.
The real issue, from my perspective, is that if an ambulance is going out of our town to help in another town that does not reciprocate with us, and then we have an urgent call in our town,
Right.
that's one of our residents and who may not be getting taken to where they need to go in a timely way. So I mean, yes, the cost is also, but I'm particularly concerned, and the fire district was particularly concerned about that as
but
well.
if they had to pay, that would be enough to discourage them from doing it and maybe getting something of their own.
Yeah.
Cause it's not costing them anything.
Yeah,
So, okay, so in my email, I had asked this question. So last year, the first quarter report gave all the contracted services. As mentioned, it shows Pine Plains, Red Hook, Rhinebeck, plus their villages. Response arrangement without obligation. What does that mean? Like, I don't think they're doing this out of the good of their heart. It shows 0. I cannot believe they're not billing these towns for every call. I'd like to know what that means, because to what Chris is saying and you guys are saying. If we are sending, I mean, I'm all for anyone and getting help for level 1 and level 2, but we're not here to be everyone's at our expense. So are we sending people for 1 and 2? Why can't? They must be getting some money from someone. Why can't they credit back the town of Northeast for that line? That's my question. And
I think it's the same question that Chris was asking.
right, but this is very
Yeah.
specific to response arrangement without obligation. What does that mean?
There are towns that do not have any contracted service.
I get that, but
Yeah.
they're not getting it for free.
there's no way in heck those people are
Well, the
responding.
people are getting billed, I'm sure.
Yeah, they do.
Calls.
Yeah, I just can't
The
believe
county had-
Rhinebeck and Red Hook,
Yeah.
all their, like, isn't being serviced by Empress.
You dig into this and it gets, more complicated. Empress actually has their dispatch facility where they keep that's in Rhinebeck.
Cause that's
It's
where,
right there.
that's where it started. Yeah,
Exactly. So they, while they're not under contract, ambulances are there, so they are dispatched very quickly. Anyway, we certainly could have Rob Stuck, who's the chief operating officer of Empress, come and talk to the board. And I'd be happy to do that, but I'll get an answer to your question.
I mean,
First.
the other,
Also, we're in a contract that renews next year. If we are able to come up with something that provides the same level of service at a lower cost, that would be a different contract. So we will see how that goes. To get 4 towns to agree is difficult because each town is different and each town has different personalities. Each town has different, concerns.
but my question also is, like, have we ever looked at moving into, not that I wanna live like this, but a response arrangement without obligation for the town of Northeast? Like, what does that entail? Like, do people still get serviced, but our town doesn't pay $700,000 a year?
It would be from the closest available, but if we didn't have one, where's that? I think
Well,
that is.
then we become Pine Plains.
Right,
Right, that's my
Yeah.
question, so. Oh, they do have an EMS.
They have an ambulance.
Yeah,
And they have one EMS person who is trained.
Yeah.
Who is available sometimes.
so not to belabor this conversation, but a few months back, there was the conversation with, I think, the county and Northwell. Is there any update on that possible arrangement?
I'm meeting with, I don't have an update right now, I'm meeting with Empress on, Friday. And I'm meeting with the county on September 1, I think. So yes, I mean, but I will keep, right now, there are a lot of ideas being floated around. There's nothing concrete.
Right.
And I don't wanna say, here's an idea, because it could not be an idea tomorrow. Just one interesting point about, I heard this from Northwell. I mean, there are now 2 different companies that conceivably could provide service. And I think that that's a plus, because you've got 2 companies, there's a little competition. It's no longer a monopoly.
Yeah.
But Northwell provides services all over the place, New York City, Long Island, Westchester, Rockingham, Putnam County. And they have a different model. They don't just park an ambulance 24 hours a day and just leave it there until somebody calls it. They move them around depending on demand. And when an ambulance goes one direction, they backfill with them, they move them around. It's a dynamic model. They're able to do it with less buses, as they are called in the trade. Which I find quite amusing. They are able to do it with less units, but there are people who've been working on improving the delivery of this over a long time, and I think, I'm hoping that we're gonna be able to benefit from that.
and then there's more opportunities for people to be training folks to have that as a career and employment path. So
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, it's really important. It's not a well-paid,
I was just
Career
gonna say, the
moment.
unfortunate part is it's not for how important that job is, it's not a well-paying job.
and I know that that I think it's the BOCES is now starting a program with that. Or maybe the county college is starting a program for that. There's a lot of focus on that. And one of the benefits, I think, of moving from NDP to Empress. NDP was non-union, Empress is union. So it would be reasonable to assume that the folks who are manning the ambulance here are now at a different pay level than they were a year ago. All right, I mentioned the sidewalk. Dutchess County Transportation Council has reached out to me. They do regularly a traffic count of pedestrian and bicycle traffic count. And they do this, it's one of the many things that they do. And they have done it for years, and that information you can find if you burrow into the county's record somewhere. They're gonna do it again this year. They have counted at, on the rail trail just south of Main Street, basically where, for those of you who remember where the porta potty used to be, down by the parking lot, they count them there. It's been helpful in terms of being able to say how much use the rail trail is getting. They've asked for my thoughts on whether they should do it again, and I said, absolutely, yes, please do. And I've also suggested that they do a count, and it's done with an automatic tracker of some kind, but they do a count up at north of Belkey Road on the rail trail. That is the intersection that gives me the most anxiety for the rail trail, and I think it would be interesting to see how much traffic there is going across Belkey. Right
The
there.
sheriff was sitting there today, which I was shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm shocked too. That's great. Let's see. I think that's probably enough for me. Update on possible grant applications. Just wanted to mention, I think you all know this, that we're not moving forward with the Climate Smart Communities grant application for putting solar on the highway garage at this time. We're not giving up on the idea of putting solar on the highway garage. There are other grants that are out there. The people who brought this to us are not walking away from this. You know, I've talked with Rochelle, and we're looking at other things that can be done up there. I look forward to, bring back to the board some more information about that. It was just way too ambitious to do it in a very short period of time. So I think we actually did the right thing, which is to say, if we can't put together a really first-rate application, we shouldn't put something out there that's second-rate.
Could we, I don't know if there's grant opportunities to pay for someone like an engineer to do studies for us to prepare for the future?
Well, there are companies that do grant writing and that are knowledgeable about this. And one of the things that I think we might want to take a look at is to see whether it's time for us to, retain somebody like that. So,
Yeah.
I'm open to that. I think we need, we can't be a DIY operation all the time. We have most of the grants that we've gotten, that we have written here. I've written them, or somebody's written them.
It was very onerous
Mhm.
when we dug into it.
Yeah.
And there was no way to put something together that was well considered, well conceived. And, the other piece of this is that with ownership of the solar array, and all the grants, the town would need to front the entire amount,
Mhm.
not just the match on a particular grant, and then get reimbursed on these grant orders. And so another option was presented to us,
Would you like to, is this a good time to, or a time to bring this up?
Sure.
Okay, so another option to owning the solar array is to go into a power purchase agreement. Where there would be zero upfront cost to the town. And the installer, the company that comes in, you know, does the assessment, does the installation, owns the array, and then sells the power back to the town at a, you know, an agreed upon rate. They also, because they own it, would maintain the array, meaning the cleaning, making sure it's operating efficiently at full power. If we owned the array, I didn't know this, if we owned it, we would have to contract with a company, perhaps the installer, to maintain it. And then we would have to, I mean, it would be a lot of town board time and would be a learning curve, it just would be a huge lift, I think. It seems to me it would be a huge lift on our part to own it outright and to maintain it. So
Sort of sounds like when we were going for the solar array over the old landfill. When we worked on that those folks did all the research, they did all the investment and. But they just couldn't get to the pole.
Yeah, it's interesting to have the installer, you know, be a company that actually owns the array,
Yeah,
pays for it, puts it in. Derives most of the economic benefit from it, but we benefit as well. And
and it's possible to get a model that shows us both options and how much we would save with each. So,
because they also have a life to them. Yeah,
you know, just pollen
yeah,
would
exactly.
impact how efficient.
their life is pretty long. It
Yeah.
is really remarkable how long this solar
If they're
is.
maintained, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we'll have more information and bring it back to the board, but I think it's, we're not done with this.
No, we're just starting.
Okay, next item on this is, the Personnel Committee interviewed a candidate for the Zoning Board of Appeals. And, do you have a report? Or recommendation?
We do, he was very excited at the prospect.
He recognizes our issues, mainly he's.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah,
is this?
we're
person?
talking about Joseph Friedel.
Yes.
He was the one applicant that we had. And the Personnel Committee met with him.
A couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
a
Okay.
couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so
You
you're
have-
excited about the prospect and offering his insight into some of the issues. Interesting background. He was really an investor at one point, but he's really interested. in
He's done
housing.
numerous things.
Yeah. Works with the community center, had worked with the community
Mhm.
center. He was the only applicant.
Mhm.
And he
So-
knows Edie knows him very well. And she's the head of that. She's the chair of that board, so,
So you have a recommendation?
well, he's our only applicant. so
Yes,
think
I
we
know,
should
but
go
you
with that.
could come back and say, we gotta keep going.
No.
No, there's not that many people interested in doing it. I think that he was a good applicant for it. Seems interested. He recognizes the housing issue, which is pretty important because that's one of our biggest issues. So we'll see where it goes.
So with that, I would entertain a motion to appoint Joseph Friedel to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
So moved.
But
Second.
Can I ask a question?
you may,
It's for a term that's gonna expire.
It's,
Um,
yes, it
and-
is
12/27.
correct.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm glad you pointed that out. It is to fill
Remaining.
the remainder of a term.
Okay. So that was you?
Yes.
Sorry,
And I seconded.
thank you.
All in favor?
What is the term for all of those members on that?
For
board?
5-member boards, it's a 5-year term.
Okay,
For a 7-member board, like the planning board,
Okay.
it's a 7-year term.
Okay.
So which is that way of
Yeah,
somebody comes
each
up
year.
every year. We had a meeting earlier today, with some of the department heads of the town. To talk about the redesign or the design of the new town hall. We're gonna be continuing to, work with them and with the architects. And, a number of constructive suggestions were made about that, and well, I look forward to coming back to the board with some specifics. Our next step is to talk to the architects and input them and get their input, and we're working on this.
Like, they want a response by mid-August, maybe get them.
They're not gonna get a response, but.
Well, we'll get a response, but
Yeah.
it might not be the one that was
Yeah.
the goal.
Well, I'll get back to you on that. It's gonna move as it's gonna move.
I asked, related to that, is there a plan internally for getting ready to move? So as far as, going through file cabinets. and
we've been doing
boxes.
that for a long time, ever since we purchased the building 3 years ago.
Okay.
So that's what all the shred is that we're
Yeah,
taking.
yeah.
Yeah,
And we took a bunch prior to this, boxes and boxes.
Yeah.
So you've worked in the attic,
Mhm. Yeah,
which I think is all cleaned out, right?
it's organized. I wouldn't say cleaned out.
and I think, just
But
to
they've been
respond
working
to
a
your
lot on
question,
that.
when we actually see a completion date. Let's say 6 months down the road, there would be a whole series of things that would start to happen in terms of what furniture is gonna move, what files are gonna move, what file cabinets would be moving, et
Okay.
cetera. But, there would be a plan needed to be in place
I'm
for
happy
that.
to help.
All right,
I mean,
Come on,
your
Sarah.
office alone, I think, needs a whole team. So we can take this on as a team, I think.
yeah. Well, I really appreciate that
Yeah.
team feeling from the board.
So we can even find you.
Next item is the approval of the 284 agreement with the highway department. You may recall that that Josh Schultz came to us at our last board meeting, presented sort of the draft 284 agreement, which was an early look at the 284 agreement. It didn't have the details of which roads are to be repaved. And so this is now has the roads and how many miles of them are to be repaved. And he's been in touch with some contractors who are able to do that, and the 284 agreement aligns with the potential lowest bidder on that. So what we need to do is to approve the 284 agreement so that he can get that rolling. Just so you know, 284 agreement is something that comes up every single year. And it basically just is, in a very summary way, a list of what roads they're planning to repave.
So when is this plan to start, Chris? I'm just thinking with the sidewalks being done, is that,
That's not related.
it's not, yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, no, because that's the county that will
I
be
get
doing
it,
it,
but would it affect? Like
No,
their
no.
mess?
because we're not repaving.
Okay.
Well, and
Well,
this is a
right
county
on
road.
West, yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
So with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the 284 agreement with the highway department.
So moved.
Second,
We need a roll call.
Okay. Do we have a roll call?
Supervisor Cannon,
Aye.
Councilman Mayville,
aye.
Councilman Morrison,
Aye.
Councilman Winkler,
Aye.
Councilman Cole.
Okay, now we all need to sign this, right? 2 copies,
Three.
3 copies,
Yours,
2.
I mean, I think,
I think it says there need to be
Randy
2.
said 3 in his email.
Did we say 3?
I don't know. I thought-
It's 2, I believe.
It's just some little bit there.
I remember when we
Okay.
did it the other day,
Why don't you start? and pass them?
and also the date needs to be fixed to the 5th of August.
Okay.
So do you
Okay,
have,
yes, and then I sent it to Bob Balkind and give it to, keep it on file.
Mhm.
Would be great, because maybe Josh wants one too. I have one, I send one and then. Thank you. Yeah.
These ones need to be updated. I'm not a council then.
No, it needs to be updated. It needs to be updated.
Both of them did.
Mhm.
I will make sure that
We'll do.
it is more appropriate next year.
We're gonna do 3, because I think Josh is trying to keep a good record of everything too.
Okay, then I need to sign one more.
So, right.
Okay. This one I can sign this one. Right?
And your
Yeah.
space
You haven't
is here
signed it
for
yet?
this one
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that supervisors is open on that one too.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm sure that Josh will be in tomorrow to pick it up.
Mhm. Please go. This one.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, why not?
Mhm.
Someday I'm gonna count up the number of signatures that I will have done.
No, you won't.
It's one of the things it's like
I don't
counting
think
sheep at night.
We don't need
One of
to,
the ways to go to sleep.
spend
Or
your
not.
doing that.
Thank you.
Any other board member comments?
I have a couple. So the personnel committee, we had
Oh, this-
talked about and made some revisions to our employee handbook. One of those was reinforcing the need for evaluations to be completed. Because we were so late in getting those approved, our proposal for this year is to use the forms and the policy that's already in existence. Just amending the rating scale. So if we have board consensus, we can put that out additional.
Because we're in August.
Yeah.
Right, so we had also changed it to September 1st, but I don't think it's fair to the department heads of the employees at this point. To only allow them 3 weeks, so we would propose October 1st for this year and then go to. The September 1st following next year.
And were we gonna meet with the department heads? You were gonna get them all together to go over this?
Mhm.
I can send that email out just to
Yep.
remind everybody of the change. So we can do that. I mean, the only real change for this year. Is the expectation that it's.
That it's done.
complete, and then the rating scale from the. Various options and the current one to
Yeah.
just either satisfactory or unsatisfactory.
But they still have to fill out the paper.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
you still have to do the tests and standards and talk about performance, but.
Mhm.
And are we offering them any resources, the department heads,
So
or as?
there is in the
Okay.
policy. That's currently in place, there is. A how-to
Mhm.
per se. Which at this point, I think we have no choice but to use because we're not gonna be able to. revamp each department's task-specific evaluation forms between now and October first. So the goal is to just get something in place this year. And then from there, the personnel committee would meet with each department head to develop a task-specific list for the employees that work under them. At that point too, we can also look to, and I'm sure the company that does our handbook updates, they may have some resources for some type of training or PowerPoint training, like that, how to do it. I mean, it's big if you have the specific tasks and standards outlined, the evaluation part shouldn't be that difficult for a clerk.
Right, there's a way to conduct. List reviews.
And
It's
that's
also-
in the policy, like that, they talk about how
Right.
to approach it, how to.
And it's also a good time for employees. It might be, it makes them think maybe there's some courses or something that they would like to take. So it's helpful for the budget committee to know that, to put that in our budget.
Yeah.
Cause it isn't anything we've ever really discussed with them, I don't think, and it makes them think about it.
Would the department heads know what kind of trainings are available? These ladies are interested.
You know what, I'm sure when we meet with them, they can bring it up if they've got concerns. That's why if the sooner we meet with them, then we've put it off till the end of September.
And that's really where these tools are handy, because it does kind of show areas where folks could use some additional
Mhm.
support, or vice versa. You know, as a department head or supervisor, what support you may need.
Or just to, you know, for their professional development. Not necessarily that they are falling behind, but, you know, everyone else to employees.
And there may be new ways to do the same thing that are more efficient that we're not aware of. So yeah, all those things, I think once we narrow down a more specific form for each area, then it'll be easier to figure out which resources may be beneficial or what opportunities for growth and professional development are there. So if we have, I don't know if we need to vote on that, or can we just take this conversation as
I
a
think-
consensus?
I thought we had voted to, we were going to do
The evaluation, so
Evaluation.
I'm talking about just the amended rating scale on the floor.
I don't think we need to do that.
I mean, it sounds really like a great idea as a transition, to at least they're done.
Right, because we're
Versus
not
never
anything.
done.
And the only other thing I wanted to bring up, and it's really for the housing committees, glad to help, so we're talking about the EMS services. An interesting conversation with one of the fire department officers, we were talking about. You know, kind of the need to possibly, look forward to the future, and if we don't start getting. An influx of folks to town that are interested in volunteerism. It's a realistic possibility that we may in the future look towards a paid fire service as well. So we were just kind of brainstorming and thought, since housing is a big push for us now, we have that pro-housing designation. Maybe looking at some programs to incentivize people to volunteer as first responders and offer some sort of. Similar to the workforce housing, market rate rents or things like that.
By law, we can't just say it's for volunteers, though, it has to be inclusionary. So it's basically, we would open it up to people who would want to move here. Because I mean, you have to take that out of their workforce housing descriptions too, as volunteer firefighters and that, because it was not inclusionary, just so you know.
So
It's just a general broad thing of workforce housing.
I'm not saying we lump that in for workforce housing, I'm saying look at other opportunities out there, because I know there are specific. Developments that do earmark a certain number of units for specific population, veterans. People with health issues, things like that. I think as a board, we need to look at ways to incentivize folks to ensure that we have the emergency services we need, because. we see what we pay for ambulance service, and if we had to do that for a paid fire services, well, we couldn't sustain that.
I mean, but this affects everyone, right? Like, that's what everyone says, if there's new housing, employers can't get, people to work here. If there's no people to work here, businesses have to leave, so it's like the snake eating the tail. And then the volunteer firefighters, just part of that whole chain of problems, because we don't have housing. So, I mean, that leads me to my question about the zoning part B. When do we start that, Chris? Do you know?
When we have the bandwidth to start.
Well, I get it, but I would love, if any way we could maybe discuss it more at our next town board meeting, or like even our ideas for a timeline to start, maybe. I know you've already been in discussion a bit with Edie and that, and if
Yeah, I mean, I think.
the planner can lock in with us
Yeah.
or to start on X, Y,
I
and
think
Z.
I think the next step would be to get a planner locked in.
Yeah, I think that would be great, because it's all part and part, like. Yeah, the commercial district is one thing, but that's owned by only so many property owners. And we have the rest of the 44 or 40, what, 2 miles? The square miles of our town to deal with for working force housing too, so. But thanks for sharing that, because then we can definitely look for more opportunities, right?
Do we currently give just a break on taxes if they're volunteer firefighters?
I don't.
That's what I
That's-
asked Catherine.
That's
That's
what
what-
Catherine.
Are we
talked
doing
to
it?
us About, well, she had, that's a discussion, if I remember, I don't wanna put words in her mouth. That she has with the fire department. Remember she talked to
Right,
us
but
about
have we
that?
done that?
No, but no.
Well, I don't.
No, but the last board meeting or the one before, I did ask her because it just became a state, it's now that before they were separated, you could only take one or the other, the county or the state. Now it's combined, you can take both, so that's when I asked her, is that something we pursue? And she mentioned she would look into it for us.
Why
So
don't
we need to round back to
when
it.
at our next board meeting,
Yeah.
when the assessors here,
That would be an incentive.
why don't we ask her that, what the status of that is?
But the fire department would have to. Give her that information, right?
Yes, yes, and it's forever, it's kind of thing, so it has to be updated, and even if a person, at least the last time we did the
Let's-
research, yeah.
I think we should let her
Yeah,
give us the,
yeah, it
accurate
was the kind of
information.
thing that, yes, it's very integral to them working with the town.
That was all I had.
And I have a personal question. So do we have any plans to replace Donna?
Donna,
yes, yeah,
Is that a job opening that's coming?
that is a job opening and you'll be hearing about it.
Okay, great. We can try Indeed again for free. 3 a month.
Anyone else? Michelle?
No, I was just wondering about, I realized we have a letter that we drafted, the communication committee to commercial district. And. Wait, release that,
I think we were gonna be able to get that out.
so.
Yeah, I think we just need to figure out who sends it,
Okay,
what, get the list of addresses and so on. I'd be happy to work with you on that.
Okay.
okay. And there is one other thing that keeps coming up, and I know this is not to solve right now or whatever, but the whole subject of the flock cameras going on private property is a concern of many residents, and I think it's a good thing to keep talking about and talk about privacy issues and residents' concerns. So I know you're very active speaking with the other supervisors on this subject, but I think this is, in speaking to people, it seems like a new way around the circumstance is to go with private property owners versus towns. So that is a concern of folks. Because everyone's been asking about the Schroeder one for like the last year.
but the property owner has to get permission, right? They can't just put it on property.
Yeah.
Just
No, they don't. they don't have to get permission from the town, and that.
No,
that's-
not the town, but
she
from
didn't
the
say from
property owner.
The property owner.
Yes, I get
Right,
that, but the
right.
point is too, like, we need to have building permits, or excuse me, we need a permit for someone to even put a sign up, right? And here, this thing that's photographing all of our license plates and whatever, they don't even have to get a permit to put it on the property. That's sort of strange to me as a first step. The second step is like when people have houses with a camera, by law, you can only have it on your property, you can't have it to your neighbors. So why is a flock camera allowed to be on the road, on private property? To take pictures of everything other than the property, like if it was only the property, great to me, but. I'm just bringing
Mhm.
concerns that people had, and I think they're good questions.
You mean the property owner gives permission to have it,
Yes,
but the camera
Is
is
the road.
collecting
The whole road. 22. And like when you have a home camera, the last I checked, I was in a very dense neighborhood. And it came up, but that property owner was by law only allowed to. Do the radius around their home and not. Go into someone else's sidewalks and house and all that for privacy issues, so I don't know how that works. but-
So is that an us issue though? Because we haven't agreed to any of that, right? Isn't the county and the district attorney's
It is.
office, they're the ones that are spearheading?
They're in charge of that. But I think what Meg is saying is there a town issue with? Could we regulate property owners' ability to contract with the county? So, look into that.
Yeah, because I think we even brought up about permits for. Utilities companies to have transmitters for 5G. So how is that different in a way than, a private owner to have? Not only a sign, but something recording.
and they're contracted by the county.
I don't know who they're contracted by. Flock, I thought the agreement was direct between the landowner and Flock versus.
No, I believe it is. That the county is involved.
Mm,
I believe the sheriff's office is. Involved, and maybe the go-between between the landowner and flock.
And bypass the town, there's no town approval process.
There are in some towns. There, I think, I'm not sure, but not here. I have not been contacted by the district attorney or the sheriff. Okay. Anything else?
But
All right. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn, so moved.
second,
All in favor?
I.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
thank you guys. Yeah.